Hello students! In this video, we will learn about the discovery of cells and the use of a microscope. Long before cells were even discovered, in early 1590, Hans Lippershey and Zacharias Janssen were the scientists who invented the first simple form of the compound microscope. Much later, in 1665, Robert Hooke was the first scientist who investigated the dead bark of a tree by taking a thin slice of cork from the bark. That thin slice of cork was observed using a magnifying instrument. These magnifying instruments are called microscopes. They are devices for seeing objects that are not visible to the naked eye. Hooke noticed partitioned boxes in the cork tissue that appeared like a honeycomb. Looking at these compartments in the tissue, he coined the term cells. The term cell comes from the Latin word cellula, which means small compartments. A short period after Hooke's discovery, in 1674, Antony van Leeuwenhoek discovered living cells in pond water using an improved microscope. In 1838, a scientist named Matthias Schleiden discovered that plants are made up of cells. The very next year, in 1839, another scientist named Theodor Schwann discovered that animals are also made up of cells. Later, in 1855, Rudolf Virchow discovered that all cells arise from pre-existing cells. Based on their findings, Matthias Schleiden, Theodor Schwann, and Rudolf Virchow put forward the cell theory. The cell theory states that all living organisms are made up of cells. A cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. All cells arise from pre-existing cells. Eventually, a more powerful microscope known as a compound microscope was invented. It magnifies an image by 100 to 1500 times the actual size of the object. Let us learn about the parts of this microscope. The parts and functions of the microscope are as follows. The eyepiece is used to view the sample. The lens is used to produce a magnified image of the sample. Coarse adjustment is a screw-like structure that is used to focus on the sample. Fine adjustment is also a screw-like structure used after coarse adjustment to improve the focus on the sample. The stage is the place where the sample is placed for viewing, and the mirror is used to reflect light to the bottom of the stage so the sample can be illuminated. To summarize, the first cell was discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665, and much later, in 1838 and 1839, scientists Schleiden and Schwann discovered that plants and animals are made up of cells. Later, in 1855, Rudolf Virchow stated that all cells arise from pre-existing cells. These scientists put their learning together and proposed a cell theory. Cell theory states that all living organisms are made up of cells. A cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. All cells arise from pre-existing cells. A compound microscope magnifies an image by 100 to 1500 times.